Good morning. It's Monday, so it's time for some book talks. I read 3 books this week. The first book I read was a Casey West, who I'm a huge fan of. It's romance. Her stuff is not so light and fluffy that you kind of get a toothache from reading it, but neither is it really heavy in issues usually. This is book 3. Casey West doesn't usually do series. Mostly her books are standalones. And I think this is really only book 3 because it takes place in the same town as the first 2. The characters from book 1 make a very brief appearance here, and the characters in book 2 were only briefly mentioned here. So it doesn't really matter if you read them out of order, but we do have all 3 if you're interested. So this is A Moment of Truth, and it is about a girl who swims for the swim team and a mysterious figure who wears a Heath Hall mask. Heath Hall is a character from a movie. He is not a real person, but there's this mask, and someone wears this mask and initially jumps into the pool during one of her swim meets and causes her to lose because she loses focus. So she wants to find out who's wearing the mask, and at the same time, she finds out more about herself. It's really a great book. I really do recommend Casey West for any kind of romance reader. She really is just really good at what she does. So the second book I read was the sequel to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So it's called Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson, and of course they're in mystery. This book concerned itself with a cold case, a murder that had taken place 5 or 6 years ago involving one of the main character's brothers, older brothers. And so the girl figures out what's going on, solves the mystery. It's a really good book. I actually enjoyed book 1 better than book 2. But in book 2, to sort of catch you up, which I really loved because I didn't want to have to go back and read book 1 again, she has a podcast. You'll notice there's like headphones there. And so she has a podcast, and very early in the book, there's a transcript of a podcast that really catches you up on everything that happened in book 1. So that was great. So you just went in knowing what you needed to know. This is a missing persons case, and she has promised herself and her parents that she's never going to investigate anything again because it really messed her up. She really put herself in a lot of danger. Some bad things happened, and she doesn't want to do that again, but her best friend's older brother is missing, and so she feels compelled to help. It was a good book, not quite as good as the first one. There is a book 3. It's not out, or I haven't found it yet, so I don't know if it's any good or not. And this is the last book I read, only Mostly Devastated, also in romance. This was my favorite book that I read all week. So if you've seen the original Grease, you know where that they get together in the summer at the beach, and it's all sweet and lovey-dovey and wonderful, and then they both go back to separate high schools, and they think they're never going to see each other again. Well, these 2 guys do that. They meet at a lake, and then one of them is supposed to go back where he's from, California, and they're in North Carolina. And so, as it turns out, the family stays in North Carolina to take care of his sick aunt and her kids and support her husband so that he's not going through this alone. The aunt is dying of cancer, so there were also some tears in this book. Well, in a very Grease-like fashion, when he shows up at school, he meets some people, and he's telling them about his summer because no one knows him here, and he might as well just out himself already and not have to fool with it. So he says, there's this guy, and then he names him. And the girl's like, that guy. And so they set up this whole thing at a party where they're going to see each other in a very Grease-like fashion. The other guy, is very not warm and welcoming to his former love interest. And so most of the book is sort of back and forth. I was really, really impressed with the main character, though. He didn't let Will's standoffishness define him or cause him any kind of insecurities on his part. I mean, sure, he was sad, and he missed him, and that was hard. But it was really, really great. I loved this book so much. It did remind me a little bit of Date Me, Bryson Keller, which I'm a huge fan of as well. It's kind of like Wish We Were Us kind of thing. It was great. So if you guys are interested in any of these books, pop by the library and check some of them out.